Alright, so it turns out we're going to make multiple videos today, so hope you like it. Let's talk about cancel culture and removing our history. In the last couple of weeks, couple months, there have been a lot of things going on in the United States that deal with our history. And we just came off of a holiday that is all about our history. July 4th, Independence Day. The day we recognize and celebrate the fact that we are a country and we celebrate our freedoms. So, a couple of the things that have happened recently that were pretty big. Trump held a rally in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Now, there were a lot of concerns about that in regards to the coronavirus, COVID-19, the pandemic, whatever you want to call it. There was a big push by people that didn't like Trump to sign up and say that they were coming, even though they had no intention on showing up. So they really presumed they were going to have big crowds, and they did not have crowds anywhere near the size that they thought. But I don't want to talk about those two things, even though I think they're really interesting. I want to talk about the choice of picking Tulsa and having the rally on the day called Juneteenth, because that deals with our history. So, in case anybody doesn't know, there was a huge event in Tulsa. You should Google it if you're not familiar with it. Look up black race riots in Tulsa, Oklahoma. So at a time when the country is really focusing on Black Lives Matter and issues with racial equality, either Trump or someone in Trump's campaign picks a city where black people were literally slaughtered in a huge race riot, war, I don't know what you want to call it. And he picks the day when black people celebrate that slavery literally ended, not the day that President Lincoln passed the law saying slavery was over, at least in part, but the day that it was proclaimed as being actually over and enforced. And that's called Juneteenth. And while all the rioting and the protesting and the issues around racial equality are going on, Trump decides to have a rally at a city where black people were murdered over racial issues on the day when slavery ending for black people in the South is being celebrated. And when that's brought to his attention, he could have said, that's exactly why I'm doing it. We need to focus on the fact that black people are free, on the fact that black people are now equal. What better place to do it than where a horrible atrocity occurred, but we overcame it? on the day that we are celebrating the end of slavery. What better place, what better way to do it? He could have said that, but he didn't, because that wasn't why he was doing it. He said, oh, I had no idea, that wasn't intentional, don't blame me, not my fault, I take no responsibility for anything. No clue what's going on here, wasn't meant as anything bad, of course, it's just a random fluke. No responsibility for me. I'm the president. I can't be responsible for anything that happens, including decisions that are made by or for me. No responsibility. Okay. I'm used to it. He says that, okay, fine, moving on. Just before the July 4th holiday, Trump decides to go to South Dakota, to the Black Hills, to celebrate the 4th of July. To celebrate, let's see if we can get this right, our country being founded, our independence, our creation, and the creation of the Constitution of the United States. So he decides to go to a place where the United States made a treaty with Native Americans to give them land. Now, if you're not familiar with the Constitution, Article 6, Clause 2, in simple wording, all treaties made by the government of the United States are considered supreme law of the land. Nothing, no states' rights, no federal laws, nothing has higher authority than a treaty made by the government of the United States. Okay, that's the Constitution that we're celebrating. The Laramie Treaty with the Native Americans gives them the land in the Black Hills because it's sacred to them. It matters. It is something important to them, and we have screwed them over enough that we finally decided we'll give you this land. This land is yours. We made a treaty. Supreme law of the land. We give you this land. A couple years later, we took it back. Why? There was gold. Can't possibly let Native Americans have land that we found out after we made a treaty has gold on it. So we took the land back. Now, on a holiday celebrating our independence and our Constitution, Trump wants to go to this land that we violated a treaty over and celebrate the holiday. The Native Americans were not impressed. What does Trump say? No idea there was a problem. Completely oblivious to everything. Not my fault. We're going to go anyway. We're going to have a good time. They'll like it. I'm a great president. I'm just not going to take any responsibility for this event occurring at this location on this particular time without asking them. Okay? Standard Trump policy. What are you going to do? You just say okay and move on. But that's a recurring event now. Multiple events have been scheduled at areas that really make you question what the hell he's thinking, or his staff is thinking, whoever is in charge of planning these events. 2 coincidental situations? Totally coincidence, really? I don't think so. Trump lives and thrives off creating division and being divisive. And that's what he's done. And he's used history to do it. And also during this time, we have a lot of people talking about taking things from the past that we now are coming to grips with and realizing are not good, and getting rid of them. Statues, just as an example. Confederate statues, to be more specific. Not just that, but those are the primary things in question right now. Trump says, absolutely not. It's a horrible idea to get rid of statues. Okay? Because Trump likes to be divisive. People say that is taking away our history. Now, for the most part, the statues that would be taken down are going to be taken down and moved to a museum or stored somewhere, eventually put in a museum. Now, not all of them. Some of them get destroyed. But a lot of them. But let's talk about what a statue is. Is a statue history? No. A statue is a remembrance of a person. Now, granted, you can say that's history. You can say that person existed in the past and they did something in the past, and you want to memorize. No, you want to make a memorial of that event through that person. So you can say it's history. But the statue isn't the history. The statue is the memory of the person and what they did at that time in that event. But it's the time in the event that's the history. The person was just there. And you're making a memorial of the person to remember the history. It's a big difference. Because if you take down the statue, you're not taking away history. You're not changing history. You're taking down a statue. The history is still there. If you decide not to teach history, if you decide to lie about history, if you decide to be inaccurate in presenting history, that might be considered more closer to taking away history. But you're not taking away history by taking down a statue. So, what is taking away history? Why isn't it taking away history? Let's come up with a couple examples here. In the United States, a couple gets married. Doesn't always happen, but it was considered the norm for the wife to take the last name of the husband. So when she does, when a woman gets married and takes the last name of her husband, is she erasing her history? Is she somehow saying her life in the family that she came from doesn't exist anymore? It's been erased. It's been taken away. It's lost because she's creating a new family? No. You're just creating new history. Everything that happens, everything, even if you say now, right now, as soon as you've said that, as soon as that happens, it's already history. Maybe it was only a second ago, 5 seconds ago now, 10, 20. Anything that already happened is history. So you can't take it away. It's back there. You might stop talking about it. You might try to lie about it or present it differently than is factual. That's sort of taking it away. But to make new history doesn't take away old history. To get married and take somebody else's name doesn't erase your history of who you are. It just adds new history on who you are. Taking down a statue doesn't take away history. It just means we no longer idolize that particular person because we realize there are too many things that they fought for or represented, or that we are idolizing them over, that aren't good. That we shouldn't be idolizing them over, that we shouldn't have a memorial for them over. Somebody else should get a statue. We can put up new statues. Or we can put up a new monument. Why don't we have a Civil War wall? For everybody that wants to talk about taking away history, you're using a wrong explanation. We're not taking away anything. We're creating new history, just the way we always do. That's how life works. As we move forward in life, whether as a person or a society, we try to improve who we are. And if that improvement means some things go away, that's a natural part of moving forward. Everything in this world changes. Everything. The Berlin Wall came down, and when it did, people celebrated. Not because we were taking away history, but we were creating a better, more just history for the people in the world. It's not changing history to make new history. Hopefully, it's just making things better. Taking away a statue of someone that fought and killed for slavery isn't a bad thing. It doesn't make our country change. It just makes who we are better because we're no longer memorializing and idolizing people that fought and killed to make human beings slaves. Anyway, I hope everybody had a good holiday. Thanks for watching. I hope you have a good day.